Hello and welcome to the This Is Ibrox podcast. I'm your host, Ross Chalmers, and this is our post-match reaction to Rangers 4, Livingston 0 today at Ibrox. I'm joined by Tommy McIntyre. How are you, Tommy?
I'm good. We are out of the rain. There's points in the bag and there was some goals. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I have to be honest with one. It's absolutely lashing down here at Ibrox. So if you pick it up on the microphone, we apologise. Thankfully, we're in cover, so we can go on with this post-match for you. We'll just crack right into the game then, Tommy. We'll probably encapsulate them both, right? The first half and the goal from Lammers. The goal from Lammers comes in the first 10 minutes. Really, really good bit of play from Rangers around the edge of the box. I think it's a 1-2 with Cyril Dessers and Todd Cantwell. Todd Cantwell takes a wonderful touch to pull it by the Livingston defender. Cuts it across the goal. Rebound from the keeper, and Lammers is the first man there, basically, to make the most of it, and he hits it into the top corner. What were your thoughts on that goal, Tommy?
Yeah, I think you've covered a lot of it there, and probably most pleasing. That's exactly one of the things you're looking for from Cantwell, in and around the box, cute little play, nice little 1-2s, and then getting in, gets it away, and then Lammers following up, and that's probably the nice thing. We've spoken about this. I think all the fans have, which is overloading the box, getting the opportunity to make chances and take them. But yeah, as much as I really like the finish, and it was good to get an early one. I think it was 10 minutes or in there somewhere, which took a little bit of the heat off, so to speak. Lovely play around about the box, and that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think I talk about this all the time, Tommy. People are probably sick of me hearing this, but see the ability to get to the byline and cut the ball back, it just causes chaos. I think overall today, Livingston struggled with balls into the box. Anything around the penalty box, 6-yard box, should I say, they really struggled with. So, which is something we've not really seen from a Martindale side. He's usually great at setting his teams up to deal with that. But I think any opportunity we had today to get the ball in there, it created chances for us, and it was really good from Todd Cantwell to get there, cut the ball back, and Sam Lammers is quick to react to it, and it's a really good finish.
Yeah, I mean, David Martindale in the press conference afterwards was kind of, looking at that as well. He thought they played pretty well, 78 minutes he was saying, and that's probably fairly right. Yeah. They were just not as robust at the back as you would generally expect. I think he was disappointed with the manner of the goals. That's not obviously turning away from Rangers were pretty good round about the box towards the end. Yeah, we can touch on some of the stodginess during the rest of that in a minute.
Yeah, I think overall the first half was quite good from Rangers. They maybe didn't create quality chances that you would expect overall, but I think there was a lot of good play in there. They were moving the ball from side to side. One person I want to talk about just when it comes to the first half is Jose Cifuentes. We've seen his first start today. Michael Beale picked him out in the press conference. He was saying that he had a really good game and he was really impressed with him. What did you think about his performance today, Tommy? I thought there was some real positive signs. He obviously has the goal chalked off for handball. We haven't been lucky enough to see it back yet. I'm sure someone in the comments can let us know if that was the right decision, but he was really looking to get himself involved today, wasn't he?
He was, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at this rain lashing down. Magic, we've got a Brazilian and an Ecuadorian looking at this is what Scottish weather's really like. So yeah, I like Cifuentes head up, trying to drive forwards, keen to move it into the opposition half and keep it moving. I think he'll be a really good addition for Rangers. Yeah, got in amongst it, took the goal well actually. It's a really good finish. Yeah. I'm as interested as you are if it was actually a correct VAR call, so please do let us know. But I think there's a lot more to come from him. It's obvious that he's also well into his season. You can see the sharpness is there. Probably something for the medical and the support team to be looking at, that he doesn't get burnt out halfway through our season. But let's not crystal gaze too far. Right now, he really brought energy to that midfield, and he obviously is a player who, unless he's forced to, won't naturally turn back towards his own goal. He's definitely head up.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've seen from the midfield too often lately, if midfielders maybe not being confident enough to drive with the ball or look for that forward pass. And I think it was refreshing today to see 3 players in there that were looking to do that every opportunity. Yeah. So that's something definitely we can build on. And yeah, Jose Cifuentes, he's definitely made an impression with that cameo role on Wednesday against Servette, and today he's done really well again and definitely deserves the plaudits from Michael Beale. Yeah. We'll just move to half-time thoughts then, Tommy. I thought the rest of the first half was okay from Rangers. Like I said before, not really creating the quality chances that you would expect from a home game at Ibrox. But we have seen again that Rangers have struggled against Livingston before, so maybe not so surprising. What were your thoughts at half-time? Were you relatively content? Did you want to see more? Was there maybe an area you felt that Rangers could do better in? What was your thoughts?
I thought we'd lost a little bit of momentum, actually, after the Cifuentes VAR chop. I don't think that's the technical term, but I'm going to stick with VAR chop from now on, right? I'm also slightly thrown off because I'm looking at both of us on the screen here along with the comments, and it does look like somebody's aged you. And this is what you end up with, right? When the pressure's told on a young man, right? But it is really thumping down now, by the way, right? Rangers win 4-0 and it really pulls on Scottish football, I think, is what that's happening, right? So, but yeah, I thought we tailed off. A little bit of energy came out of it. We started to get a little bit inside ourselves. Yep. Livingston actually came not into it. They weren't fashioning, lots of chances. And my apologies for anybody who have just opened a wound when I said fashioning there. For anybody who's lately departed, but I don't think there was the needs, as we've seen in some games recently, to freshen up at half-time. I don't think anybody was naturally calling for that. It was a case of, could we come out and get momentum? Michael Beale spoke in the press conference downstairs a couple of minutes ago or whatever to say, he wanted to keep the front three together. Yeah. He wanted to see if they could get goals and start to gel. I think that's a good thing. Sitting here with a 4-0, I can say that that's a good thing. But, yeah, I wasn't crying out for anything other than we just had to bring the pace back that we'd started with in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think you made a really good couple of points there, and
makes a change.
Yeah, I'll say that now. And Michael Beale's press conferences were, it was quite interesting there. There was a lot of comments in there we might be able to get to at the end. But yeah, look, totally agree with your assessment. I think he spoke about that he felt that the team had slowed down towards halftime. I think he referenced just after the Cifuentes goal being ruled out, he felt that Rangers kind of took their foot off the gas a wee bit, and it's something he didn't want to see. And you could genuinely feel the frustration in that press conference that he wanted to see a wee bit more at halftime, and it's maybe what's led into the second half. We'll just jump into the second half now. I'll give you my thoughts, Tommy, and you feel free to disagree with me. I thought we were a bit flat. I thought we were flat in the second half. I think Livingston definitely came out. I think Martindale must have got at them at half-time because Livingston definitely came out and they were a lot more competitive. They were making it a lot more difficult for Rangers, and it certainly wasn't a Livingston side that I expected to see in the first half. It was quite, I wouldn't say easy for Rangers, but they were definitely finding, space with the balls in areas that Martindale certainly wouldn't want them to find it in. So I thought we were a bit flat to start the second half. And the crowd was definitely tense. I think that's the best way to put it. There was a lot of frustration, especially with that front three. I would probably say definitely Cyril Dessers. There was a lot of frustration in the stands.
A lot of tight waistbands.
Yes.
Going on in there.
What did you make of that start to the second half? I'm conscious we don't want to fool anyone here. We scored 3 goals in the second half, right? But I think it's important we touch on the build-up to those goals and the impact of the subs just before we get there. What did you make of the second half? Pretty much up until we got that second goal.
To be fair, Ross, I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
With that, 45 to 78 minutes, there was a growing unease from the stands. Actually, Rangers were huffing and puffing. We were getting into good spaces, but it was breaking down, and that's probably a familiar theme as these players start to. You don't want to jump too far ahead, but the post 78 minutes where we get the other goals, that's when it starts to click. Players are finding each other. They're driving forward. The familiarity is coming. There's still a brand new team up top. But yeah, 45 to 78, it was starting to get a bit nervy. Livingston were getting a little bit further forward. Certainly David Martindale was speaking about he felt they could get something at that point. Yeah. And we all know that unease of, particularly at home, getting into the 70-odd minute and it's only 1-0 and you think, they want to get a claws into something, and does it start to get a little bit nervy? And thankfully we weathered it. And then, then we got our goal to make it 2, and then we could power on from there. But yeah, we lost our way a wee bit. It's probably the right way to say it.
I think it's fair to say as well, you did have a bit of fear. You thought Livingston could get back into the game. Just they weren't necessarily creating great chances, but they were starting to put that Rangers backline under a wee bit of pressure. I think we've seen a couple of really good saves from Jack Butland. I think there was one around the 55th minute, but he makes a really, really good save low to his left.
Yep. Good block as well by Suter as well.
Yes.
Through ball and last minute tackle. The pressure was on. You're absolutely right. I mean, it'll be surprise to the listeners and the watchers that I have any sort of pessimism round about me. Who would have thought? You know what I mean? But I think you're absolutely right, Ross. And to be fair, you you were talking me down off the ledge metaphorically and saying, no, listen, I thought we've got this. I just felt that the same as, again, David Martindale, if Livingston could have fashioned something, they would have, it would have become a different place. But it's actually nice to get through that type of moment. And just to go back to the defence, they held up pretty well. John Souttar is an absolute standout.
Yeah, man of the match today, rightly. I think we're really seeing the best of John Souttar now with a run of games, which there always comes a slight fear with a player with an injury record like that. When they do have a consecutive run of games, you get that fear that maybe you need to take them out, you need to rest them. I think this is a statement from Michael Beale today that Connor Goldson is the one that comes out. Makes sense. Connor Goldson's not had the best of pre-seasons because of an injury, but John Souttar is the player that I felt would have came out today based on the how much he's played, especially through pre-season. But he is really showing, how good a player he is, and he's clearly starting to get past those injury issues, which is fantastic for Rangers.
Listen, you're absolutely nailed it, Ross. What I just wanted to mention as well, you'd brought this up in the gantry earlier on. I think people will be really interested was that switch to the back three. Yeah, in the second half as well. I mean, I'll let you pick up on it because you'd spotted it really early. But Michael Beale had also mentioned it downstairs. I think we put it out on our Twitter feed, which is people should get used to seeing a back three. Yeah, I'm interested how you saw that kind of shaping up, and maybe without getting us too far ahead, what did you think of Sterling when he came on as well?
Well, it's interesting because we had the privilege of being at the Rangers training centre through pre-season, and I was there that day and got to listen to John Sterling, and he was talking about really saying, I'm not a centre back, don't expect me to play there. But we did see him come on and play there today. Now, in a back three like that, when you've got a lot of the ball, maybe one of those centre backs doesn't have to be a natural, and that looked to be the case today. It looked to be that James Tavernier was essentially given a bit of freedom and that he could move inside, and he had Dujon Sterling on his outside, because you noticed in the final third, James Tavernier was very central when it came to the last 15, 20 minutes, and we had Dujon Sterling out on the right here delivering crosses. Maybe not the best. A couple of his crosses weren't great. Maybe that's the difference between the two fullbacks we've got, but it's certainly something that I think Michael Beale is going to continue with. He said it in his press conference. Back three is something that we should be expecting to see more often now. Whether that's a system we start with in most SPFL games, I'm not convinced. I don't know if we have the profile centre backs to play that. Do we necessarily have the influence in midfield you would want to play a back three? I'm not sure, but it's certainly something that I think Michael Beale wants to press on with, and it'll be interesting to see if maybe there's some more players that come in to give that balance of a back three. Well,
I'm holding a gun to your head here, metaphorically. Please, nobody call the police, right? But if you're taking three centre backs in there, playing a flat back three, so to speak, right? Just three centre backs, left, right, middle. You going with Goldson, Sterling, Souttar? What's your feeling?
Oh, you've put me in a spot here because I'm going to end up talking about Ben Davies, and no one's going to like to hear that.
Well, I don't think we should forget him. He's a good defender.
Yeah, I think for me, if you were going to play a back three, I think I would have Ben Davies as the left side, John Souttar as the right side, and Goldson as the central defender. I think that gives you a good base in the middle there, and you have good centre backs on either side that are good in possession. And I think you need that from a back three, especially in domestic football where you're going to dominate the ball. But it looks like Dujon Sterling is going to be an option in there. And is it the idea that Dujon Sterling comes in, he plays as a bit of cover on that right-hand side, and you don't need a midfielder to drop in, and that gives James Tavernier license to go forward more? That is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. We're not seeing it enough yet for me to be completely convinced of what Michael Beale's trying to do with it. Does that make sense? It seems to be at the end of games every time that you're not really sure what.
Still tweaking.
Yeah,
still tweaking.
Exactly.
I would say, though, I was with you there, although I'd be tempted to put Goldson on the right, Souttar in the middle of that three. I think there's a domineering part to Souttar's game that I quite like, and Goldson likes to step out with those long kind of pinging passes. Yeah. But, I mean, I'll pass back to you. I know you've got an agenda that I am doing my very best to blow up.
I do have an agenda, which we went completely off track on, so thanks for that, Tommy. No, I'm just joking. That's not as healthy discussion. There's a lot of people in the comments agreeing when it comes to John Souttar. There's another one here from Cubby Cubster. Souttar reads the game so well between him and Balogun, mocked up everything today, and we won't spend too much time on it. I thought Leon Balogun was great again today.
He didn't put a foot wrong. Yeah. I mean, that ability to play slightly higher as well, because you've got that pace of Balogun, gives us a little bit of an option as well to make that higher press, etc., and squeeze the spaces up between middle and front. And I think that can't be overstated. Again, I don't want anybody to miss what I just said there, which is the rain is stopping. This is part post-game podcast, part weather update.
Yeah, that's pretty much what became at this stage. So, look, I'm enjoying it.
And knitwear.
Yeah.
Fashion as well.
Before we move on, there you go. Paul McGarrell agrees with you. Goldson, Suter, and Balogun would be the. I'm assuming that Paul means in that kind of shape. So you've both disagreed with me. So I'll give you that one. You win 2-1 there. We'll move on then. I'm conscious that we spent a lot of time there in the back three, but it is an interesting conversation. I'd be interested to know everyone in the live chat and the comments and things. Let us know what you think about that, because I think that's something we're going to see more often.
Just put TMR for Tommy Mac is right.
Yeah.
That's all you need to put. Save yourself time.
You don't need to do that. Don't worry about it. So we'll move on to there's a couple of, I don't want to break into each goal, right? Because frankly, we do have a podcast tomorrow that will go through all this game for you. So conscious of just giving our immediate thoughts on the game. But the thing I wanted to touch on just before the goals, Tommy, was the subs. I think the subs made a real impact today, and it's something I think as Rangers fans over the years has been a growing frustration with the substitutions. We've maybe felt that they've not made an impact, or we've maybe not changed the game early enough. And maybe that's not all Michael Beale. We've seen previous managers before the same frustrations. I thought Abdallah Sima and Rabi Matondo made a real impact today. I think you heard that from Michael Beale in the press conference. I think he picked out Rabi Matondo especially and said, he's had a bit of a tough time of it, so he was really happy with him today. Just before we touch on the goals and who scored them, how impressed were you with the impact those two players made today?
I walked past the fact that I had said on this podcast some weeks ago that Matondo was a player, and people told me I was shouting in the wilderness myself. I'm going to walk past that, right? I'm going to walk past that. No, listen, you're absolutely right in referencing Michael Beale in the presser as well, in that we can change it, and they did have that massive impact. I mean, Abdallah Sima, I don't know where the worry about him comes from. He will be somebody who impacts the squad really positively over the course of this season.
Yeah.
Matondo as well took his chance, that busting through, particularly for Dowell's goal that we'll get to, but picking it up, not going wide immediately, coming through, picking the right pass, absolutely fantastic. I think that the fact that we were able to change the forward line, and that gives us extra dimensions, it gives us different kind of abilities and skill sets up there, is exactly what Michael Beale's been trying to do. Obviously, we were all on a downer after Kilmarnock. It's easy to write everybody off. We all do. It's a reactionary game sometimes. But once we put our clear heads on, the fact that we can impact a game like that, and then be able to push on, and you've got scorers up there, I think it's a really positive moment. Let's just enjoy it. As you say, that type of quality coming off the bench, it doesn't look like it's how are we going to change this? It's who's the right setup to come and change it. And that's actually a really positive place for the squad. Yeah,
because there were several options today. I mean, you did have a Yanis Hadji on the bench as well, which probably I think suits a game against Livingston, where you get a lot of space, and he's a player that can maybe unlock the door. But we didn't see him come on today. So that was a brave decision from Michael Beale. He's went with two players that I think that have had a wee bit of criticism from the Rangers support.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Rabi Matondo, based on the last season, and even Abdallah Sima, who just came in, I'm not sure the fans are completely convinced of the player yet. But I think we've seen today that there is genuine talent in both of them, and they can definitely make an impact for us in these games when teams are stretched, they're tired. And we both know playing football, I'm sure everyone else within the comments knows about playing football, one of the worst things to play against is pace, especially if you don't have it. And I can certainly say I never had it.
I've got bags of it.
Yeah, so playing against players that have bundles of pace like Rabi Matondo or Abdallah Sima, it's so difficult as a defender, especially when you're tired. So look, there's a lot of positivity in there. Let's have a quick touch on the goal then. Around the 78th minute, Danilo gets his first goal for the club. I think it was a ball in from the left-hand side, and it's a header. Really good finish. Abdallah Sima, that was 6 minutes later on the 84th minute. I think something similar as well. It comes to the back post and he smashes it in at the near post, I believe. And then Kieran Dowell, an absolutely fantastic goal. I believe it's Rabi Matondo that drives through the middle. He plays the ball out to Kieran Dowell, and any goal that hits the bar or hits the post always seems to look better.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
And the roof came off Ibrox when that went in, just because I think the sheer power of the shot, the ferocity of the shot. What did you make of those goals, Tommy? And also, how beneficial can that be for these new signings to get on the score sheet early? It is only the second domestic game of the season. I know it was a poor game last weekend at Kilmarnock, but that's them. They're all off the mark now. How beneficial can that be for them?
It's massively beneficial. And again, the manager was speaking about that. It's also good from a high level that we can now stop referencing I know I've done it and you've done it here, but now domestically we don't need to reference the Kilmarnock game. We've moved on. We've got a domestic win. There we go. Day two, it's done. We're on the board. I think maybe the thing that caught me was, or that I really liked, was there were different types of goals. There were balls launched into the box, headers. There were nice touches round about the box leading to a follow-up. Then there's an absolute bust through midfield that turns into an absolute cracker, a rocket. The type of goal that I would score, right, is definitely not that. Right, it's probably there. Right, but if there was an OG in there somewhere. But yeah, the fact that we manufactured different chances and then there was people there to take them. There was definitely a bullishness in the second, that kind of last 10 minutes that we felt that we could start to put it in. But the variation of the play, and the reason I labour that is because people have been really worried about, will we just be throw it in, whatever. Actually, the variation was pretty good. It doesn't always come off, and it won't always come off, particularly as these players get used to each other. It'll be a wee bit frustrating, but if we stick with them, I'm starting to absolutely see enough in the forward areas that gives me confidence that we will make a lot of chances in games. It's just making sure that the players are there to finish them, and that's where guys like Dessers, etc., need to maybe continue to up the fitness. I think I agree with a lot of your points there. For me, I think it's really, really positive that Danilo and Abdallah Sima got on the score sheet today. And a lot of people will maybe come back and go, Danilo's one, of course, is the second, but Abdallah Sima, maybe people come back and go, the game's done. How important is that goal? But I think for a forward player to get off the mark quickly like that, it puts to bed some of the criticism we've seen on him. Ultimately, these players have been brought in to bring us more goals. We really struggled with that last season, and the big players in our team, like a Ryan Kent or Alfredo Morelos, ultimately didn't deliver for us, right? So the fact that we've got these guys coming in making an impact so early, of course, it's only at home to Livingston. There's a lot of football to come. They'll need to show it at a higher stage than this. But I think to get off the mark so quickly it is really, really positive. So that's the game. 4-0 it finished for Rangers. It turned into a really comfortable victory. I'm not sure we would have said that at the 75th minute mark, but we'll take it. You've always got to take it. Rangers winning on a Saturday, it makes it better for all of us, should I say. There was just one comment from the press conference I wanted to touch on, Tommy. I'm conscious of time, but what did you make? Michael Beale spoke about in the press conference, saying that it's been a tough week for the squad. What did you make of that comment? I thought it was, strange is the wrong word, but he really wanted to make sure that we were aware that it's been a wee bit up and down this week, and maybe these new signings coming in have really had the kind of eye-opening moment of the realization of what it means to play for Rangers. Do you think that's what he's alluding to? 100%. I mean, and if you clip it to his interview previously, where he was talking about people were fed up with some players, so they've been moved out and new ones have been moved in. He's trying to build that mentality in the squad and in the dressing room, and then showcase what, like any manager, showcase what the demands of the club are, whilst protecting and insulating the players against some of the pressure. And I certainly think some of the players would have been surprised. Whatever clubs they've come from, they will never have encountered the pressure that they'll get here. Opening day defeat, and it was some people obviously calling for wholesale changes. So I think that's what he was mentioning. That and the fact that this squad has been put together, there is a good mentality. You see that around about the stadium, you hear that as well. It was a misfire from them in the first game of the season. So it's a real reset button, because everybody's saying, right, we're going to get out the traps, we're going to put the pressure on. Well, actually, you've already let Celtic get 3 points further ahead. So I think everybody just had to maybe get back onto it. Servette was a bit laboured, but we got across the line in the first leg, and then we've managed to get through the majority of the game today, and then really at the end press the accelerator and get a couple of goals. So I think maybe it was just a little bit of, this is what it really means. The manager can tell you there's demands at a club, but then you start to see the reaction from the fans and etc. when you've dropped points, and maybe it's no bad thing for players to get that early warning.
I think you're completely right. I think it's important that the players get a real understanding of what it is to play for Rangers and the expectancy. That, let's be honest, when you come to Ibrox, there is an expectancy in the crowd, isn't there? It is very much, we have to win this game, and look, that it's never going to change. So the players have to be aware of that, and really they need to thrive on that. I think when you play for this club, you've really got to relish being under that pressure. And I think Michael Beale spoke about that before. He takes it as it's a pleasure to be under that pressure. So. Well, it's certainly something that I'm sure Michael Beale will be aware of, and managing throughout the season, that maybe those kind of ups and downs, and just making sure the players are always aware of what it means to play for Rangers. Quick one then, just before we finish.
It stopped raining and the sun's kind of come out.
Yeah, well,
I know you were all wanting to know
everyone
that.
was waiting for that one. Serial Dessers. Just simply, what are your thoughts so far in Serial Dessers? Because you could hear I would say, frustration in the crowd today.
Michael Beale wants to stick with them. His fitness has to come with that.
Yeah,
it's evidently he's still a little bit off the pace.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it. I thought when I first seen Cyril Dessers, he was maybe trying a wee bit too hard, but I didn't see that today. I thought some of his movement in the first half was really good. I thought some of his flicks around the corner were really good. But I just thought, again, in the second half, it just came down to fitness completely. Yeah. I think he just completely lost pace of the game. And there were several moments where I think he had to move the ball quickly and he was slowing it down and he was looking to pass back and things like that. And when it's only 1-0 at Ibrox, the fans are just not going to enjoy that, are they? They're going to want more than that kind of control in the game. So look, I think we all need to be patient with Cyril Dessers. I think this is a player that clearly has been behind in his pre-season. Yeah. And I think with the money spent, it's very much he needs to play.
Yeah, and Michael Beale said that in the press conference as well. He did mention that. Maybe just to add to that a little bit is I think with the fitness will come the sharpness. One thing that I think he absolutely needs to show the fans a little bit more of is that incisive movement inside the box. Yes. And that first time finishing. Because
I think we've seen that from Danilo so far, and he's been here, less of a time.
Yeah.
And Sam Lammers, you've definitely seen what Sam Lammers is good at. So we're maybe just waiting for that with Cyril Dessers, but I'm confident it will come. I'm confident it will come with all the forward players. So look, we're going to finish on a positive note, all right? Maybe we were talking about Dessers there and the frustration, but it will come. It will come. So yeah, that's us for today. Remember the Sunday podcast will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I'm not sure who is on that tomorrow. You might know.
Scott's will be hosting and two others will attend. There you go.
We will be back. That's us confirmed. We will be back tomorrow. So there'll be a further breakdown of the game. Get more opinions on how this Rangers squad is looking for that Servette tie midweek. Remember, find us on the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also get the podcast on any major podcast platform. We're on there now as well. And remember, please subscribe. If you enjoy the content, like the video, it really, really helps us out. And it's something we want to continue with. So we really appreciate all the support. Just left to thank you, Tommy. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hope everybody enjoyed the game as well.
Yeah, it's ended up being a really good Saturday. Saturday night's always better when Rangers win, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everyone. And yeah, tune in tomorrow. We'll be back for our usual Sunday session podcast. Thanks very much. Cheers.